central nervous system consists of the brain and spinal cord and is the integrating and command center of the nervous system. The brain has 4 lobes that make up the cerebrum or the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is the largest part of the brain, making up 83% of total brain mass. It's responsible for speech, memory, logical and emotional responses, as well as interpretation of sensation and voluntary movement.
The frontal lobe is in charge of decision-making, personality, motor functions, thoughts, and memory.
The parietal is responsible for sensing pain, cold, and touch, and is also responsible for emotions. The occipital lobe is posterior, and its major function is for vision. This is the temporal lobe. It's the most lateral and contains the auditory cortex.
This is the medulla. The medulla oblongata controls breathing as well, along with blood pressure, swallowing, vomiting, and heart rate. This is the pons. The pons controls breathing and relaxation. This is the midbrain. The midbrain is the reflex center involved with vision and hearing.
This is the thalamus. The thalamus directs brain signals in the way they need to go. This is the epithalamus. The epithalamus houses the pineal gland, regulating sleep and wake cycles. This is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus regulates body temperature, metabolism, water balance, hunger, and thirst. This is the cerebellum. The cerebellum controls balance while allowing precise timing for muscle activity.
The pituitary gland, or the master gland, releases hormones that regulate body functions.
This is the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is what links the 2 hemispheres of the brain together. The amygdala is what regulates extreme emotions, such as fear.
The hippocampus is associated with memory, particularly long-term memory.
The brainstem consists of the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata.
The diencephalon deals with the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and the epithalamus.
The frontal lobe is in charge of decision-making. The meninges is a connective tissue layer which supports blood vessels. Also, it contains cerebral spinal fluid. The fluid keeps the brain floating within the skull and absorbs shock.
Now we're going to talk about the spinal cord.
The spinal cord conducts sensory information from the peripheral nervous system to the brain. Also, the spinal cord conducts motor information from the brain to either our skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscles or our glands.
White matter is myelinated and is outside of the spinal cord, while gray matter is unmyelinated and is inside of the spinal cord.
This is a nerve's pathway, or reflex arc. It starts when a stimulus hits the receptor of a sensory neuron. This information flies down the axon into the integration center of the spinal cord. This interneuron then sends an action potential onto the motor neuron. The information passes down to the effector,